Welcome back. I'm thrilled to be joined by Alex Dripchak, a New York City-based millennial sales expert and just all-around fascinating individual. He's going to share some of his tips, advice, which I've absolutely been fascinated with because I know Alex began his sales career at Oracle, where he was the first person ever to be a sales manager and outside producer by the age of 25. And today, he serves as a senior advisor at Mercer, a global HR consulting leader in talent, health, retirement, and investments. He's also the co-founder of Commence, a careers academy for college students, and again, the author of 100 Skills for the Successful Sales Professional. Alex, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Shalom.
It's a pleasure. So you have quite an interesting entrepreneurial story, and what I love is what you're doing in giving back. So something I find fascinating is people that are always willing to learn and grow, and sometimes those people are not always in sales because a lot of salespeople just want to go, go, go. So tell us how you discovered your passion for learning and growing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it was a combination of different things. For me, it was being at Oracle. And I always kind of just was, I was brought up listening to all the best salespeople, and I kind of got an early exposure to a lot of the best sales talent. And as I transitioned into Mercer, there's a whole different sales process. So whereas at Oracle it was much more formulaic, people would go out to 3, 5, 7 different vendors and pick the best one. At Mercer was extremely relational, and it was, okay, these people are taking me out to lunch, or these people are ones that I really like. Let me pick one of those. So it wasn't as much, let me look at the best. It was more, let me look at who I know. So I'm like, all right, I really need to work on cultivating relational sales. And how do I kind of pivot towards even more complex sale that was even more relational? So started reading a lot of the best sales books and became a real voracious student of the game. And it just became, I read 27 books and I said, hey, a lot of these books are fantastic, but they're much more methodical or procedural. Wouldn't it be great if people just kind of pulled things out and curated and collated the skills that you're going to need in order to be successful in sales to kind of help the next generation?
That's huge. And Alex, we won't have time to talk about all 100 tips over here, but you certainly have learned a thing or two. So what are some of the 6 skill sets in sales, and how do you know when you shine or frankly when you suck?
Yeah, it's a jam-packed question. I kind of broke it out into 6 categories of the 100 skills. So you had kind of your internal developments, like how are you progressing, making sure that you're prepared and keeping your team involved, meeting effectiveness. So how do you really make sure you're making the most of that meeting, negotiation and persuasion. So of course, it's not as big of a component as people think, but that's definitely an element as well. So I kind of broke it out into these different categories. And relationship building obviously was the biggest one too. So, and then for me, it was really just taking that introspective, reflective look at yourself, where you ask yourself the tough questions of, all right, am I really maximizing my preparation? Am I visualizing the end result and deconstructing every element of the process to make sure that there's no weak links in the armor? I think a lot of people kind of just look at the time, they're like, I have an hour, so let me fill that hour. And it's really, no, how do you refine down each section into very structured and strong elements?
Absolutely. I'm chatting with the author of 100 Skills of the Successful Sales Professional. And Alex, you just used the relationship word. And I know that's something that you talk about in the book about playing the long game, choosing relationships over just chasing sales. So what was that aha moment for you when you realized what that means to actually build true relationships that actually are a two-way street?
Absolutely. So I think that there's a few different moments, but I think they all get back to not pushing out with your solutions first. It's really just taking a other-centric approach of what's most important to them. So for me, one of the examples was somebody was losing their job and helping them find another opportunity. And then just, the whole basis of the relationship changed. It was an email every once in a while became phone calls and text messages and thank yous and just kind of this indebtedness. So I think that when you can really do something for somebody else and it's something that they are really living and breathing in every day, rather than you trying to push your solution and find a fit, that's where you really transcend the relationship.
And along the way, I'm sure you have seen a thing or two in sales, I think you call it the cringe-worthy buzzwords that might be out there in sales. So I'm not going to ask you to repeat them because they're cringeworthy for a reason. What are some of the things that for the entrepreneurs that are tuning in to the program that, I mean, I believe that every entrepreneur is in sales, meaning that they are in relationship building. What are some of the things that you've seen that has worked? Some of the practical techniques that you'd like to see our listeners put into practice this week?
For relationships, I think it stems from what I was talking about earlier, is focusing on what other people find important and how can you help drive what's going to make them a personal and professional success. What are their KPIs? What are their metrics that matter? Starting from there and seeing how you can help. And maybe you're introducing a client to them. Maybe you are helping spread the word for them organically on LinkedIn or through other different mediums, but it's really starting with them before starting with yourself.
Absolutely. And are there any specific tools that you've seen utilized? I mean, LinkedIn, obviously, that's an easy one. But any particular networking techniques that you've seen that has worked, that has helped you open doors, that, as you keep saying, has helped you build real, meaningful professional relationships?
As far as additional platforms are concerned, it's usually trying to find the ways to get in person. So different events, I would say, are really key, but not trying to really be a sponsor. I think that going as an attendee, you kind of get to meet people in their authentic self with their guard down. And if people ask you what you do, you be upfront about what you do. But I think when you're meeting people as a peer, they're more willing to connect with you rather than, wearing the suit and being on stage. There are different connotations of that. So it really depends on what you're trying to get at. But I think if you're trying to really get out there and build these relationships and find authentic avenues to do so, I think going to an attendee and kind of just absorbing the information and meeting as many people as you can organically is the way to do it.
Changing gears for a moment, I mentioned that you and I believe you have a couple of partners in this. You've launched Commence Your Career, which I found fascinating. And on the website, it says your dorm room to boardroom action plan, which is absolutely awesome. And it's one of the things that you talk about in the book of hard skills. I think you say set the floor, but soft skills break the ceiling, which is awesome. So what's your advice for those that might be tuning in that might be in college, studying, getting ready to get their career off the ground? Do these same skills that you've been talking about, Alex, apply in the, call it the job search, but in the professional search, which might be a little different than sales?
Absolutely. I think that Daniel Pink talks about this in his book, To Sell is Human, but it's about 80% of jobs have some kind of component of persuasion or negotiation or just trying to get somebody from one side of the coin to the other. So how do you get people to see your perspective? So I think these skills definitely apply, but my advice really to college students would be to take less of a transactional approach. I think a lot of people are like, I need to find a job, so I'm going to reach out to people that can get me a job. When you're reaching out for advice, recommendations, insights, that's where you're able to build, again, that authentic, organic relationship where people are going to want to help you. And you can build that mentor, that sponsor, that coach, rather than just somebody, hey, can you get me a job? Because no one wants that kind of approach. So I think that's really key. I think following up with people, it's a very easy one, but a lot of students are like, oh, thanks for the advice. And then you never hear from them again. So just kind of, here are the 3 things I'm doing to implement the advice you gave me is really crucial. So I think that those are 2 really huge elements for students to absorb.
Yeah, follow-up is so important. And I've seen that over and over and over again as I've spent time meeting with folks, is have a great conversation. I think that most people that are networking are truly want to help, but you've got to make it easy on people to allow them to help you. Make sure that you're preparing them. I mean, I believe that business cards are for everybody, whether you're in business or whether you're looking for a job. Make it easy for people to follow up, to give you the connections, the contacts, and so on. So follow-up is important. Time management is important. Contact management is important. And all of these things you can and should be doing, frankly, even before you're ready for your first job, is set the foundation for success, which is huge.
All so again, we talk about in the program, Shalom. Literally.
Well, people need to get on your website, commenceyourcareer.com. They need to pick up a copy of the book, 100 Skills. So on that note, as we're quickly running out of time over here, Alex Dripchak, you're a true mentor and professional. How can people get in touch with you and pick up a copy of the book?
So yeah, you can get a copy of the book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Business Expert Press is the publisher, but I have 100salesskills.com where you can find the book as well as some articles that go along with the book. You can message me on LinkedIn, Alex Dripchak. Of course, we're also on Commence and Are You Workforce Ready on Instagram. So a few different.
Oh, awesome. Absolutely. Alex, thank you so much for joining us. And be sure to come back and share some more of your advice expertise. I have a feeling that there will be probably 100 more tips and advice probably coming in a future book too. So stay in touch, my friend. I appreciate it. We're going to squeeze in a quick break, headlines, and more small business jobs and entrepreneurship when we return. Be sure to check out our sponsors, ChicagoSignatureLimo.com and HealthPlanChicago.com. We'll be right back.